The locker room reeked of sweat and shame, and I was 17, trembling as Ethan Carter's laughter sliced through me like a blade. His words, sharp as ever, echoed off the tiles. "What's wrong, Gabe?" Too delicate to handle a real man's game. I clutched my bruised arm, the sting of his shove still burning, and swore I'd never let anyone break me again. For years later, in a crowded Brooklyn cafe, those same piercing blue eyes found mine across the room, and my heart stopped. Ethan Carter, the boy who made my high school hell, stood there, no longer the cocky jock, but a man with a nervous smile, holding a coffee and a secret that would unravel everything I thought I knew about pain, love, and forgiveness. My name is Gabriel Torres, and at 17, I was the quiet kid at Lincoln High in upstate New York, a place where being openly gay was a daily gamble. I'd always been careful, kept my head down, my sketches private, my heart locked away. But Ethan, the golden boy of the football team, saw me. Not in the way I dreamed someone would, but as a target. His taunts were relentless, his shoves calculated, his friends' laughter a chorus that haunted me. I was too soft, too different, and he made sure I knew it. Every day felt like surviving a war I didn't sign up for. By senior year, I'd built walls higher than the school's bleachers. But Ethan found cracks. One afternoon, after gym, he cornered me in the locker room. "You think you're better than us, don't you, Torres?" he sneered, slamming my sketchbook to the floor. Pages of my drawings, dreamy landscapes, secret portraits of boys I'd never dare approach, scattered like my dignity. I didn't fight back. I couldn't. I just picked up the pieces and swore I'd leave that town and never look back. I did. At 18, I moved to Brooklyn for art school, trading small-town cruelty for city chaos. I found a new rhythm, late nights sketching in my tiny apartment, coffee runs at the beanery, and a cautious hope that I could finally be myself. I dated a little, but my heart stayed guarded. Ethan's voice still echoing in my head, too delicate. I poured my pain into my art. My canvases alive with bold colors and jagged lines, each stroke a rebellion against the boy who'd try to break me. That autumn, at 21, I was sketching in the beanery when the door chimed, and there he was. Ethan Carter. Taller, broader, but unmistakably him. His blonde hair was shorter, his leather jacket a far cry from his old varsity one. He looked different. Softer. Maybe. Or was that just the light? My pencil froze mid-stroke, my chest tight. He hadn't seen me yet, but the air felt charged, like the moment before a storm. I could have slipped out the back. I should have. But something rooted me to the spot, curiosity, or maybe the part of me that still wanted answers. Why me? Why had he singled me out all those years? I watched him order, his voice low, polite. No trace of the arrogance I remembered. Then his eyes scanned the room, and when they landed on me, they widened. Not with malice, but with something I couldn't place. Regret? Fear? I didn't know. But when he walked toward me, my heart pounded like it did at 17. "Gabriel," his voice was tentative, almost gentle. It's you, isn't it?" I wanted to snap, to throw every hurt he'd caused back in his face. Instead, I nodded, my throat tight. "Ethan," he sat across from me, uninvited, his hands fidgeting with his coffee cup. "I didn't expect to see you here," he said, his eyes searching mine. I've thought about you. A lot. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Thought about me? Like when you shoved me into lockers or trashed my sketchbook? He flinched, and for the first time, I saw something break in him. I was an idiot, he said, voice low. Worse than that. I was cruel. And I'm sorry. Gabriel. I wanted to say that for years. I didn't know what to do with his apology. It felt like a trap, like the old Ethan waiting to pounce. But his eyes, those damn blue eyes, held no mockery, only a rawness I wasn't ready to trust. Why? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Why did you hate me so much? He looked away, jaw tight. I didn't hate you, he said finally. This is hard. I was jealous. Confused. Scared. I didn't know how to deal with what I felt about you. My breath caught. What he felt about me. The words didn't make sense. Not after everything. I wanted to bolt, but his gaze pinned me in place. And I knew this conversation was only beginning. I'd spent years rebuilding myself, but Ethan's return was a crack in the foundation, threatening to bring it all down, or maybe, just maybe, to build something new. The cafe's hum faded as Ethan's words hung between us, heavy and impossible. Well, I felt about you. My mind reeled, replaying every shove, every sneer, trying to find the lie in his confession. But his eyes, raw and unguarded, held a truth I wasn't ready to face. I pushed my sketchbook aside, my hands trembling. You don't get to say that, I said, my voice sharp enough to cut. You made my life hell. Ethan, you don't get to waltz in here and rewrite history. I'm not trying to rewrite anything, he said, leaning forward, his voice urgent. I know what I did. I know I hurt you. But I need you to understand why. Gabriel, I owe you that much. I crossed my arms, a shield against whatever he was about to unload. Fine. Explain. He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. Back in high school, I was lost. My dad, the team, everyone expected me to be this perfect jock, this man's man, but I wasn't. I was figuring myself out, and you were so open, so sure of who you were. It scared me, and it drew me to you. I blinked, stunned. Drew you to me? You had a funny way of showing it. He winced. I know. I was a coward. I didn't know how to handle what I felt. I saw you sketching, always so calm, so free. I envied that. And I hated myself for wanting to be near you. For wanting, he stopped, swallowing hard. I pushed you away because I was terrified of what it meant to want you. My chest tightened, a mix of anger and something softer, more dangerous. So you bullied me to hide your feelings? That's your excuse. No excuse, he said quickly. Just the truth. I was 17, stupid, and scared. I thought if I pushed you hard enough, I'd stop feeling everything. But it didn't work. You were always there. In my head, I wanted to scream, to tell him he didn't get to dump this on me and expect forgiveness. But his voice cracked, and I saw it, the weight he'd carried, the same kind of shame I'd fought through. It didn't erase the past, but it made it messy, eh? Harder to hate him cleanly. I need air, I muttered, grabbing my sketchbook and heading for the door. He followed, not too close, but close enough that I felt his presence like a shadow. Outside, the Brooklyn streets were alive with noise, honking cabs, laughing pedestrians, the pulse of the city. I stopped at a park bench, the autumn air sharp in my lungs. "Gabriel," Ethan said, standing a few feet away. "I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just needed you to know. I've spent 4 years trying to be someone who deserves to even talk to you." I turned, meeting his gaze. "And who are you now, Ethan? Because I don't know this version of you." He stepped closer, cautious. "I'm still figuring that out. I moved to the city last year, got a job at a community center. I'm out now. Took me a while, but I'm trying to live honestly. And when I saw you today, I couldn't walk away without saying something. I didn't know what to say. The Ethan I knew was a storm, all sharp edges and cruelty. This Ethan was quieter, vulnerable, but I wasn't sure I could trust it. "I need time," I said finally. "This is a lot." He nodded, shoving his hands in his pockets. "I get it. If you ever want to talk, I'm at the East Side Community Center." "I'm not going anywhere." I watched him walk away, his silhouette fading into the crowd. My sketchbook felt heavy in my hands, and when I opened it, I saw the half-finished drawing I'd been working on, a cityscape, all sharp lines and soft shadows. Without thinking, I started sketching Ethan's face, his new softness, his old sharpness. I hated how easily my pencil captured him. That night, I couldn't sleep. My tiny apartment felt too small, my thoughts too loud. I kept seeing Ethan's face, hearing his words. Part of me wanted to believe him, to see the boy beneath the bully. But another part, the part that still carried 17-year-old Gabriel's bruises, screamed to run. The next day, I found myself outside the East Side Community Center, my heart pounding. I didn't know why I was there. Maybe I wanted answers. Maybe I wanted to yell. Or maybe, deep down, I wanted to see if Ethan Carter could be more than the monster in my memories. The East Side Community Center was a squat brick building tucked between a bodega and a laundromat, its windows plastered with flyers for youth programs and art classes. I stood outside, clutching my sketchbook like a lifeline, questioning every step that brought me here. Ethan's confession had cracked something open in me, and I wasn't sure if I was chasing closure or chaos. Inside, the air smelled of fresh paint and coffee. Kids laughed in a nearby room, and I spotted Ethan at the far end of the hall, helping a teenager hang a poster. He wore a plain gray t-shirt, his movements easy, unguarded. When he saw me, his face lit up, then softened with caution. "Gabriel," he said, stepping closer. "You came. I don't know why," I admitted, my voice low. "Maybe I just need to understand." He nodded, gesturing to a small office. We sat across from each other, a cluttered desk between us. The silence was heavy, but he broke it first. "I've been working here for 6 months," he said. "Teaching kids sports, mentoring. It's grounding. Makes me feel like I'm making up for some of the crap I pulled." I raised an eyebrow. "You think mentoring kids erases what you did to me?" "No," he said, leaning forward, eyes intense. "Nothing erases that. But I'm trying to be better. I want to be someone you don't have to hate." I looked away, my fingers tracing the edge of my sketchbook. "I don't hate you," I said, surprising myself. I did, for a long time. But now I don't know what I feel. He exhaled, like he'd been holding his breath. "That's more than I deserve." Over the next hour, he told me about his life since high school. How he'd gone to college on a football scholarship but dropped out after a year, unable to keep up the facade. How he'd come out to his family, lost some friends, gained others. How he'd spent nights replaying the things he'd done to me, wishing he could undo them. His honesty disarmed me, but didn't erase the scars. I drew you once, I blurted, the words slipping out. Back in high school, in my sketchbook, before you trashed it. You were different in my head. Not the guy who hurt me. His eyes softened, and for a moment, I saw the boy I'd imagined back then. Someone capable of kindness, not cruelty. I wish I'd been that guy, he said quietly. I'm trying to be him now. I left the center with more questions than answers. But something had shifted. Ethan wasn't just the bully anymore. He was a person, flawed and searching, like me. Over the next few weeks, I found excuses to visit the center, dropping off art supplies, joining a mural project. Each time, Ethan was there, steady and present, never pushing, but always watching me with those damn blue eyes. One evening, we ended up painting a mural together, a vibrant cityscape for the kids' rec room. Our brushes moved in sync, and when our hands brushed, I didn't pull away. You're good at this, he said, nodding at my work. You're not bad yourself, I replied, a small smile tugging at my lips. It felt dangerous. This eased between us, but it also felt right. That night, he walked me to the subway. The city was alive with lights, and as we stood on the platform, he turned to me. Gabriel, I don't expect you to trust me, but I'm glad you're here. Even if it's just for the mural. I looked at him, really looked, and saw the boy who'd hurt me and the man who was trying not to. I'm glad too, I said, my voice barely audible over the rumble of an approaching train. As I rode home, my sketchbook open on my lap, I started drawing again, not the city, not the past, but Ethan as he was now. The lines were softer, the shadows lighter. I didn't know what it meant, but for the first time in years, I felt like I was drawing towards something, not away from it. The mural was nearly done, a riot of colors that turned the rec room into a slice of New York soul. Ethan and I had spent weeks on it, our evenings filled with paint-splattered clothes and quiet conversations. Each brushstroke felt like a step closer to something I couldn't name, something that scared me as much as it thrilled me. One night, after the kids had gone home, we stayed late to finish a section. The center was quiet, just the hum of the heater and our breathing. Ethan dipped his brush in blue, his arm brushing mine. You ever think about what could have been? He asked, his voice low. If I hadn't been such a jerk, I paused, paint dripping from my brush. All the time, I admitted. I used to imagine you'd apologize. That we'd, I don't know, be friends. Maybe more. But then you'd shove me the next day, and I'd hate myself for dreaming. He set his brush down, turning to face me. I hate that I made you feel that way. If I could go back, you can't, I cut in, sharper than I meant. We're here now. And I don't know what here is. Ethan, he stepped closer, his eyes searching mine. I know what I want it to be, he said softly. But I won't push. You've got every reason to walk away. My heart pounded, torn between the boy who'd hurt me and the man standing here. Raw and honest. I wanted to trust him, but trust was a fragile thing, and mine had been shattered too many times. I need to know you're real, I said. That this isn't just guilt talking. He nodded, his jaw tight. Let me show you. However long it takes. The next week, he invited me to a poetry slam at a local bar. a place where artists and dreamers spilled their hearts under dim lights. I hesitated, but went, curious about this side of him. He read a poem, his voice steady but vulnerable, about a boy who hid behind anger, who loved someone he couldn't face. The crowd didn't know it was about me, but I did, and my chest ached with the weight of it. Afterward, we walked through the village, the air crisp with autumn. "That was about you," he said, not looking at me. "I wrote it last year, before I knew I'd see you again." I stopped, my breath catching. "Why didn't you reach out sooner?" "I wasn't ready," he said. "I had to fix myself first. I didn't want to come to you broken. I wanted to be angry, to hold onto the hurt." But his words were a mirror to my own journey. I'd spent years rebuilding, learning to love myself despite the scars. Maybe he was doing the same. We ended up at a quiet pier, the Hudson River glittering under the city lights. He stood close, not touching, but close enough that I felt his warmth. "Gabriel," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've been in love with you since we were 17. I didn't know it then, but I know it now." The words hit like a wave, pulling me under. I wanted to believe him, to let myself fall, but fear held me back. "I don't know if I can do this," I said, my voice shaking. "I want to, but I'm scared." He reached for my hand, hesitating before taking it. His touch was gentle, nothing like the shoves from years ago. "I'm scared too," he said, "but I'm here, and I'll wait." I didn't pull away. His hand in mine felt like a promise. One I wasn't sure I could accept, but couldn't let go of either. As we stood there, the city humming around us, I felt the first stirrings of something new, not forgiveness, not yet, but hope. Hope was a dangerous thing, and I carried it like a fragile glass in my chest. Ethan and I started spending more time together, coffee runs, late-night talks. Moments where the past felt distant but never gone. Each smile, each careful touch, chipped away at my walls. But I couldn't shake the fear that this was too good, too fragile, to last. One evening, we went to an art gallery opening in Chelsea, my first time showing a piece publicly. My painting, a chaotic swirl of reds and blues, inspired by those high school years, was raw, exposed, like bare my soul. Ethan stood beside me, his presence steady as strangers praised my work. "This is incredible," he said, his eyes tracing the canvas. "It's like you painted the storm inside you." I nodded, my throat tight. "It's what you left behind," I said, half joking, half serious. He didn't flinch. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, and I believed him. Not because of the words, but because of the way he looked at me, like I was someone worth seeing. After the gallery, we walked through the city, our shoulders brushing. The air was cold, but his warmth kept me grounded. At a quiet corner, he stopped, turning to me. "Gabriel, I need to ask you something," he said, his voice nervous. "Can I kiss you?" My heart stuttered. I'd imagined this moment 1,000 times, but now it was real, and I was terrified. "I don't know," I said, my voice barely audible. He nodded, stepping back. "Okay." No pressure. I needed to ask, but I didn't want him to step back. I grabbed his jacket, pulling him closer, and kissed him. It was soft at first, tentative, then deeper, like we were both letting go of years of pain. His hands found my waist, and for the first time, I felt safe in his arms. We started dating, cautious but real. We'd meet at the community center, share takeout in my apartment, sketch together in the park. But the past wasn't gone. One night, over dinner, I told him about the nightmares, flashes of lockers, his laughter, the fear. He listened, his face pale, and when I finished, he took my hand. "I'll spend my life making it up to you," he said. "If you'll let me." I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But trust was a slow build, and some wounds ran deep. When an old high school friend, Marcus, visited me in Brooklyn, the past roared back. Marcus had been there through Ethan's worst, had seen me cry after the locker room incident. When he learned I was seeing Ethan, he exploded. "Are you serious?" "Gabe," he said, pacing my apartment. "This guy ruined you. And now you're what? In love with him?" "I don't know what I am," I said, my voice shaking. "But he's different now. He's trying. Trying doesn't erase what he did," Marcus snapped. "You're worth more than this." His words echoed my own fears. And that night, I couldn't sleep. Was I betraying myself by letting Ethan in? Or was I holding on to pain that no longer served me? I looked at my sketchbook, filled with drawings of Ethan, his smile, his eyes, the man he was becoming. I wanted to believe in him, but Marcus's warning lingered. The next day, I met Ethan at the park. He sensed something was off, his brow furrowing. "What's wrong, Gabriel?" I took a deep breath. "I need to know this is real," I said. "That you're not just chasing redemption. That you love me, not the idea of fixing what you broke." He looked at me, steady and sure. "I love you, Gabriel Torres. Not because of the past, but because of who you are now. Your strength, your art, your heart. I'm all in. If you are." I wanted to believe him. I needed to. But as I stood there, his hand in mine, I knew the hardest part was still ahead, choosing to let go, or holding on to the pain that had defined me for so long. The choice wasn't simple. Love never is, especially when it's tangled with pain. Ethan and I stood at a crossroads, and I had to decide if I could build a future with the boy who'd once broken me. Winter settled over Brooklyn, the city draped in snow. Ethan and I kept seeing each other, but Marcus's words haunted me. One night, after a quiet dinner at my place, I showed Ethan my old sketchbook, the one he'd trashed, now carefully taped together. I opened it to the drawing I'd made of him at 17, a softer version that never existed. "This is who I wanted you to be," I said, my voice steady. "I need to know if you can be that person now." He touched the page, his fingers tracing the lines. "I'm trying, Gabriel. Every day. But I need you to tell me what you need. I need you to own it," I said. "Not just with words. With actions. I need to feel safe with you." He nodded, his eyes fierce with determination. "I'll show you. Whatever it takes. Over the next months." He did. He showed up to every art show, cheering louder than anyone. He helped me teach an art class at the community center, his patience with the kids a quiet proof of his growth. He listened when I talked about my fears, never pushing, always present. Slowly, I started to feel its safety, trust, love. But the past wasn't done with us. One spring day, I got a call from my old high school counselor, Ms. Rivera. She was organizing a reunion, and she'd heard about Ethan and me through mutual friends. "I'm proud of you, Gabriel," she said. "But some people here haven't forgotten what happened. If you come, it might stir things up," I told Ethan, expecting him to shrug it off. Instead, he looked at me, serious. "Let's go," he said. "I need to face it. For you. And for me." The reunion was in our old high school gym, the air thick with nostalgia and tension. Faces I hadn't seen in years stared as Ethan and I walked in, hand in hand. Whispers followed us, but Ethan didn't flinch. When a former teammate approached, his smirk sharp, Ethan stepped forward. "I was a jerk back then," he said, loud enough for others to hear. "I hurt people, especially Gabriel. I'm not that guy anymore." The room went quiet, and I felt something shift, not just in me, but in the air. Later, as we danced under cheap string lights, I leaned into him. "You didn't have to do that," I said. "Yes, I did," he replied, his arms tightening around me. "I love you, and I'll keep proving it." That night, driving back to Brooklyn, I realized I'd made my choice. The boy who'd broken me at 17 wasn't gone. He'd shaped me, made me stronger. But the man beside me, the one who'd fought for my trust, was the one I wanted to build a life with. Years later, we'd tell our story, not just the pain, but the healing. We'd stand together at pride parades, paint murals for kids, create a home filled with art and love. Ethan never stopped showing up, and I never stopped choosing him. The bully who broke me became the man who helped me heal. And in that messy, beautiful journey, we found something worth fighting for us.